Hey guys, Barbara here. So I made this recipe as a part of my Vlogmas series and I also did it as a short, but today I want to do it as a tutorial. So I'm measuring the flour by fluffing it up first and then shoveling it into the measuring cups to make 3 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. I'm going to heat up this 1 cup of milk in the microwave to get it to between 105 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit. I am using lactose-free milk, by the way, guys. So it's ready. Let's go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast. I got this recipe from YouTuber Preppy Kitchen's page and he says use instant yeast, but I didn't have any of that, so I used what I had. I'm going to melt 5 tablespoons of butter. I will be using my KitchenAid stand mixer because that's what he said to use. So let's get this butter melted in the microwave for like 15 seconds. It's ready. Now let's go ahead and add the yeast mixture, which foamed up really well. 1/4 cup of granulated white sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt. In hindsight, I shouldn't have added this salt because my butter is salted, but we're gonna be all right. 1 egg, the melted butter, of course. Get it all in here. I was gonna put the thing down and I remember I didn't add the flour. So I'm going to add half the flour. And when I did this recipe, I also weighed the flour and I thought that I had too much. So I kind of split it up and I set out, I think, 1/2 cup. I set it aside. This is still the original batch that I'm putting in. I did end up using all the flour. So don't worry about what I'm saying right now, okay? I don't want to confuse you guys. So see how it's looking? I'm scraping down the sides. And this is when I decided I needed that extra 1/2 cup of flour, which makes the original 3 3/4 cup, okay? So I put the machine on higher speed. And this thing has really developed some great gluten here. Let's get this dough out. I don't need to knead this because it's already kneaded. I just want to go ahead and shape it into a ball. I'm going to use a clean bowl because the bowl has to have some grease in it. So I put some vegetable oil in the bowl already. And then I'm just going to turn the dough over in it. So the whole entire dough has grease on it, okay? I'm going to cover it up with this beautiful dish towel my mother-in-law embroidered for me. And then put it in a dark area away from draft. The oven is not lit, okay? Now I'm going to make the filling. He said to use 1/2 cup of granulated white sugar to 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. Let me grab my tablespoon and just mix it up. This looks like a lot of cinnamon sugar for this bread, so I'm just going to let my eyes be the guide when I start to assemble it, okay? What I'm going to do is divide this out into 3. Put it in 3 separate little bowls. Now it's an hour later and my dough has poofed up really well. Oh, it's so soft and nice. Get my ring off. I want to go ahead and press out some of the air. And then I'm going to grab my cutting board because I don't cut on my beautiful quartz countertop. I don't even put hot stuff or cold stuff on my countertop. It took me 20-something years to get a new kitchen, guys. You know I'm babying this kitchen. So I'm going to use my bench scraper. You can use a knife to cut this into 4 equal pieces, as equal as your eyes can see. The bench scraper does have a measuring thing on it like a ruler, but I never use that. Now I'm going to make these 4 pieces into balls, because it'll make it easier for me to roll them out with a rolling pin into the shape of a pita bread or a flour tortilla, okay? I like doing this part. I like messing with the dough. Alright, so we have all 4 pieces. Now let me go ahead and roll the first piece out. It's going to be a little bit difficult to do because the dough is not relaxed yet, but as you get to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th piece, it'll go much faster and much easier for you because the dough would have relaxed, okay? So I have my parchment lined baking sheet. I really need like a pastry mat so I can get the exact size for when I do things like this. I don't think they're very expensive. I'm brushing on melted butter, but not on the edges, just in the middle. And then here comes the cinnamon sugar. And I'm doing this very sparingly because you can overpower your stuff with cinnamon sugar really easy. So I ended up with 3 tablespoons in each bowl for each layer. And I'm thinking that's enough. So I'm going to do the second one. See, it relaxed real easy for me. And I'm going to set it on top of the first layer. Try to get it all even. Stretch it if you have to make it, match the edges. Then put the butter again, the melted butter. And then put the cinnamon sugar again on this layer. And you get the idea as to what we're doing, right? We're just making layers of the 4 pieces. So this is the 3rd piece. And then I did the 4th. And now I grabbed my biscuit cutter and I'm setting it right in the center. But I'm not supposed to press down because I don't want to cut it out. Now I want to cut 4 equal pieces around the biscuit cutter. I don't know what the dog is barking at, but you guys say you don't mind the background sounds. So 4, we're going to cut it into 4. And then I'm going to remove it. He didn't remove his biscuit cutter, but I'm going to remove it because it's kind of being a nuisance. I just won't go into the dead center. I'm just making sure the cuts went all the way through. And then I'm going to cut each piece into 2. So we're going to end up with 8. Remember fractions, right? Just cut it all the way through. And then we're going to cut it into 2 again. So we're going to end up with 16. And you're going to see what we're going to do. It's going to be so fancy. You guys are going to love this bread. So I have 8. And then now to cut it again to make the 16. Be gentle with it because you don't want to like move the layers off of the cinnamon sugar, okay? Alright, so that's the last cut. Let's grab 2 pieces. And we're going to twist them outwards from each other. This one's not cut all the way. Outwards 3 times. And then pinch the ends shut. You might have to come back and mess with the ends again as you go along. Grab 2 more. Making sure everything is neatly layered. Twist 3 times and pinch the ends shut. So it's kind of like 4 twists because you have to pinch that last one. And just go around and around. When I made this as a short, it looks so pretty because I went fast. I speed up the video. It looks so pretty, guys. I entertain my own self when I'm doing these videos, you know. Alright. So now we have all 8 twists. Cover it up for ½ hour and then brush on some egg wash and then bake at 375 for about 20 minutes. I went too long. I'm showing you I have all the cinnamon sugar left over. So I'm putting it in a little container to use for future. I was saying that I went too long. I went 25 minutes. But it's not burnt. It's just high brown. That's what my auntie used to say. It's not burnt. It's high brown. What's wrong with you? So I'm lifting it off with my cake lifter to the cooling rack. I'm going to do my thumbnail and all that stuff. And then I'm going to cut a slice. And then Joe and I are going to go outside on the swing to taste and chit chat with you guys for the Vlogmas video. So guys, I want to tell you something. I tried this recipe again the next day. You knew I would. Of course I have to try again, guys, because I want to see if I can do it without the KitchenAid. So I've measured the flour again, 3 3/4 cup. For the milk, I'm going to pour it out in a bowl so it can be spread out. And I'm going to let it go for 1 minute. We're going to need 1 tablespoon of yeast. The 1 egg. The milk is too hot, so I'm going to let it cool down for a couple of minutes. So here we go, it's ready. I'm going to add my yeast, give it a stir, set it aside. Take care of the butter. Remember, I have to heat up the butter 5 tablespoons. And because the butter is salted, I'm not going to add the salt, okay? So the yeast, the sugar, the egg. Give it a stir, and then don't forget the butter, the melted butter. And then I've added some of the flour, and I'm using a wooden spoon. Now I'm tired of this wooden spoon, so let me get my hand in it. Yeah, it still feels soft and moist. So it can definitely take on some more flour. So I put almost all the flour. I left like 2 tablespoons behind. This feels good, guys. I can still feel a lot of moisture in the dough. So I guess this is kind of kneading to a degree, but I call this gathering the dough. Now this is kneading. Rock it back and forth, twist it, fold it, and pick up all the flour as I go along. And I just want to knead it until it's smooth, and then put it in a greased bowl. Turn the dough over in the bowl so the entire dough can be greased, all right? And then cover it up, put it away for an hour. This is 1 hour later. I'm just going to go ahead and take out some of the air, grab my cutting board, because we're then going to go ahead and cut into 4 like we did in the first part of the video. You can use a big knife or a bench scraper like I'm using. It took me years before I bought a bench scraper, and I don't know why, because they're not too expensive. I rolled them off into 4 different balls, and now I'm rolling them out flat like a disc or like a tortilla. And I'm going to do something different. Instead of cinnamon sugar, I'm just going to put jelly. Well, not jelly, jam. And this is a brand new thing of jam, so it doesn't have the big chunks on the top. But when I got to the chunks, I just set it in the middle. Now I'm twisting again 3 times. This is a hot mess. The jam is just oozing out of every piece of the thing. I let it rise for 20 minutes, baked it, and I think it came out gorgeous.
This is the Bare Pantry Show.